Welcome back, everyone, to the Complete Pineleaf, where today I hope to finish up the tale of the Black Book of Mordor. Right, Gandalf?
These runes were not made by Rowan's hand. They were made by another.
The runes hidden within the embellishments on some of these pages are written by the Jaruka mode, but not by Voin. No, these letters were made by another, Voin's wife, Bolsena. It was she who finished the Black Book of Mordor. Hear now her words, and you will know the end of the tale herein contained. Let's hear the end of the story.
What secrets did she add to the holes of memory? I wonder.
I am named Bolsena, and I am of the Jaruka. I met Voin, who would be my husband, when I was young, and my beard was but a shadow of what it is today. And I didn't count him much of a dwarf. It was only with the passage of years that he earned my love, and now we have a son. Tazco is his name, and already I have filled his ears with the stories of his father's adventures. But he's still young, and to him tales are just tales. Ask an old dwarf the tale of her youth, and she may not remember them. So, I do not entrust the story with Tazco, though he is dearest to me of all in this world, and I will raise him to be all of a Jaruka should be. It was Voin's wish that I record the end of his tale in this tome that he brought out of Mordor, and this I do now. It was in the year 2051 that Voin went south in search of the vanished friend, the lost king of Gondor. He fell in with such wicked dwarves as he could find. Yes, that would... In their company, he made his way past the bounds of Mordor. And what did he find in past the bounds of Mordor? Over on this way. Oh, she really takes a twisty path, doesn't she? Ah, here she is. For 12 years he remained in Mordor, and when he finally returned, he was not the same. The time he spent amongst such wickedness in the Black Lands and the citadel of Minas Morgul took its toll upon him. No one could have survived such an experience unchanged, but for my beard, I say none could have done better than my Voin. I miss him every day. So what happened later? Oh, I guess that means it's time for me to continue along in this journey through the book. Oh. Alright, this is back here. He spent years in Minas Morgul trying to free his friend from a cruel fate. But it was not to be. The torments of the Witch King proved too severe, and in time Eärnur's resistance fell, and he knew that as they would. He had told Voin this day would come, but my husband refused to believe it. Alas, the depth of the evil of that place overmastered Voin's powerful heart, and the words of his friend proved true. The day Voin feared came at last. The Witch King's domination was complete. Eärnur was given new raiment and a new name. After years of torment, he remembered neither his friends nor their adventures. Voin was but one wicked dwarf amongst many who served in Minas Morgul. He tried to remind Eärnur of his old life, but It was to no avail. Use that name in my presence, and I will have ye slain. I meant no offense, sir. It will not happen again. See that it does not. Tell my master that I will join him presently at bar near Nath. The Mistress of Lamentation has a task for me. Yes, of course. Thank you for your mercy, Mordorith. I know it was painful for him. Voin knew the time had come. He ascended the stairs of the tower and came to the highest chamber, where he remained the great beacon. He broke a shard from the reflective surface, and using the secret arts of our kind, he trapped a ray of the moon's light in its glass. Sitting in the high place, my husband took from his satchel an empty tome that he had taken from the archives of the city. The accursed sage that governed it never knew the book was missing. In the light of that moon, Voin wrote the tale of his years, and he left nothing out. He wrote of Moguldir the elf, into whose life my husband came only near the end, and wept to not have known him longer. He wrote of the knights of Gondor, with whom he adventured in Gundabad and elsewhere, hopeful Simahar, courageous Calantor, swift Machinas, and loyal Oralang, whose death grieved him for all the rest of his days. But most of all, he wrote of Eärnur, the lost king of Gondor and his dearest friend. It would be the only record of the man Eärnur had been before he fell to the net of the Witch King. When Voin could not no more words to write, he found a plain coffer in the city and fashioned 2 keys to open it. One of the keys he kept. The other he set beneath hammer and broke the end. He presented the broken key to the wraith who had been his friend. What is this? I need no gifts from Morgul slaves. This gift is not from me. It is from your master. The Lord of the Nazgul wants you to keep this key on your person. It will unlock a mighty weapon, a weapon that cannot be overcome. The key is broken. There is naught it can unlock. The tests of your Nazgul master are no concern of mine. I have done my duty, Mordorith. Farewell, I say. Farewell. Voin left Minas Morgul then, walking as if he were its master, and could not be harmed. Well, what happened next? Deeper into the story, and that's what happens next. So anyway, that explains the key, but it looks like the weapon must be the truth. He did not stay in Mordor. After 12 years, my husband returned to me. Even hidden amongst the margins, illustrations in the book, the tome of Bosenhill's writing is as clear as is a crystal surface of a mountain lake. I had some questions, she writes. questions. And what are these questions? Our home in Yarnfast needed some repair, and Voin wished to construct something else. Yes? Okay, we of course know what room this is, because this is the room that we found with him. Voin wanted to build a secret chamber in which to hide the book that he had written. The chamber took many years to finish. It was his life's work, and into its construction he poured every part of himself. On the walls he carved the song of the Far Gathol, for that was the dream he set aside for the love of his friends and the memory of their struggles. But it still captured his imagination. Often I would enter into the hidden chamber unnoticed and find him staring at the song, humming to himself. More than once I would interrupt his musings and hear him speaking softly in the dim light. "One day," he would say from time to time. "One day." Our son Tazko was born in the years following his father's return from Mordor, and he delighted to play in the hidden room. But eventually, Voin grew cross and forbade my son from entering. "It's disrespectful, Tazko," he chided the boy. "This room is a crypt. It's a tomb for the dwarf that I was, and for the friends who have died, and worse than died." "What could be worse than death?" Tazko asked him once, but that was the end of the discussion. Voin would no longer speak openly of the hidden chamber, or of the tome within. In time, my husband felt the onset of his years, and knew that his end approached. There was one last journey for us to make, and then he would be satisfied with the life that he had lived. The three of us journeyed westward to the Grey Mountains. And here we have Voin, Mozema, and little Tazko, and he's even smaller than I am. It had been a long journey, but I had a few steps to make. I trust you both know you have all my love? Good. Good. Keep the deeds of the Jaruka close to your heart, Tazko, and live by their example. You will be a strong dwarf and brave. Stronger and braver than I have been, I expect. I'm proud of you, my son. Take care of your mother, and see that she wants for nothing. Bosena, you are more dear to me than you know, and these years have been better than I deserve. Take care of Tazko, and know that I will bear the memories of our time together wherever the steps take me. Farewell." Is he really going to find the Far Gathol? What do you believe, Tazko? I hope so. I think so. One last wave farewell, it looks like. And then farewell. And then he was gone. We returned to Yarnfast. My husband was right. Tazko grew up to be a fine, strong dwarf, and as the years passed he proved as able to help to his mother and to the rulers of the Iron Hills. He spoke often of the great deeds of the Jaruka past and present. Voin would have been proud of his son. I placed the tome my husband had written in the hidden chamber, and sealed the door. I entered the secret room less and less often as the years went on, and in time I stopped going inside at all. Tosco does not remember the journey that we took to the Great Mountains with his father, but every now and then he asks me what I think happened to him. He found the lost city of the far Gathol, I tell him, and he smiles. And why should he not? Voin survived Mordor and Minas Morgul and defied the edicts of the Witch King himself. I think if anyone could find the lost city, it would be my husband. Now I feel the passing of the years as Voin did, and I know my time is nearly ended. I have come into the hidden chamber one last time, and I will write the conclusion of my husband's story in the manner that he wanted. My friends defied evil, he said to me, and I do not want them forgotten. I promised to conclude the tale, and now that I have done so, I will set this book down upon the table and sing the song of my husband carved upon the walls. I will leave the hidden chamber and seal the door, and I think I will sit for a time and think of Voin. If any should find this book after a year, or 2, or 10, or many more, I guess, know that Voin and Bozema and their son Tosco were happy with their lot, and despite the difficulties of their time, they knew that even a hopeless night must come to an end, and there always be good-hearted folk ready and eager to greet the dawn. Farewell, unknown friend. Farewell. So that's it.
I am pleased to know the end of the tale.
That is all Bozena has to say to us, Pineleaf. I'm pleased to know the end of the tale. Now, with the departure of Isildur, our business in Rivendell is concluded. Aragorn will have need of us in Gondor, for evil still lurks within Minas Morgul. Reminded of Isildur's last request, you tell Gandalf that the son of Elendil repented of his words concerning Eonar, and hoped that his body might be recovered from Barad Curon. Gandalf mirthfully raises an eyebrow. It has already been done, Pineleaf. Aragorn, that is to say King Elessar, commanded that Eonar's body be recovered from Minas Morgul before I began the northward journey to Rivendell. Ooh. And why was Elessar commanded this? Actually, it was quite simple. Eonar was a king of Gondor, he said to me. He should return to the land he loved, and that loved him. I saw the wisdom in this, and did not gainsay his words. Within the hour, guards of the citadel were dispatched to Barad Curon to carry out the king's command. They found the watching stones outside the tower abandoned and passed within without any obstruction. Eonar's body was borne from the city and returned to Minas Tirith. He was laid to rest in the tomb of his fathers on the silent street, and at last he knew the freedom from the shadows of Mordor and the long reach of Angmar. Gandalf nods thoughtfully and raps his staff upon the ground. Well, I think that is story enough for one journey. I thank you again for your company on this long road, my friend, and I shall seek for you when next I have cause. Until then, farewell. Should you have need of me before then, look for me at the lodge of our good friend Grimbeorn, whose hospitality cannot be measured. After a brief rest, your wagon will return to Gondor. But it sounds like to me that I had to speak to Gandalf in the Beorninghus. I think that was a hint. Yep, he has a quest all right.
Yes, I have been expecting you.
Really? Together we have unearthed every secret hidden within the Black Book of Mordor by Voin and Bozena, the long-distant dwarves who authored it. Only one question remains. What is to be done with the book now? I see a number of possibilities, my friend. It was Keel Tailspinner who gave the book into our keeping, and his claim is perhaps the strongest. Voin and Bozema were his thrice great-grandparents, and if the book is to be kept by anyone still living today in Middle-earth, we might do worse than a Jaruka relative of the author's. But there is another interest to be considered. The Black Book of Mordor contains a great deal of information that would be prized by scholars concerning the history of Gondor and the fate of the King of Erenor. The book is truly deserving of a place of honor in the houses of lore in Minas Tirith. The scholar Covadil would gratefully accept the donation of it, and in that way Voin's wish for Erenor's struggle to be remembered in the future will truly be fulfilled. There is one other claim to the Black Book, Pineleaf. Indeed, the nobility of this claim might be doubted, but I believe it is still worth considering. I speak of the claim of Karazgar, the Weeping Warrior, who asked that you steal the book and deliver it to him. Yes, I know of your encounter with him in the old ford, and I chose not to say anything, but I am pleased my trust in you is not misplaced, and we were able to decipher the last of the book's mysteries. Why then might we entertain Karazgar's request, Pineleaf? Why, it is for that very reason. We know what the book says, and he does not. He believes it contains the secret to prevent his decline, or securing his power, but it does not. It could contain a great deal of confusion and mystery for one who does not know how to read it, and that is to say nothing of the trick with the shard of the beacon glass. What might he give up in exchange for a book that he thinks would be of use to him, but is not, and cannot be? It may be an academic question, but there is always a great interest to me. So, I leave the disposition of the Black Book of Mordor to you, my friend. Choose who should have it, and deliver it to either Keel, Tailspinner, and Yarnfast, Covadil in the houses of lore in Minas Tirith, or to Karazgar at the Old Ford. I have the decision up to you, and with this choice we will close the Black Book of Mordor for good. I thank you again, Pineleaf. Wonderful. Well, I think it was Keel. I promised to return it to Keel, so let's go to Keel. Back to the room where it sat for all those centuries.
Welcome back, my friend. Did you solve the mystery?
Did you solve the mystery of the glass shard of Voin's book? Did Gandalf have any ideas? Ooh. You are giving the book back to me. Well, I thank you for this. It seems that it properly belongs here in the chamber Voin built, and with your assurance that it is not truly a tome of evil, I should think that it will be quite safe to keep here. Like my thrice great-grandmother Belzahena, I too would have found the aura of this hidden chamber to be one of peace and comfort. I am quite pleased to know more of these relatives of mine, who once were mere names, but now are much more than that. And to think my thrice great-grandfather Voin defied the Witch King himself, and not only that, but he may have at last ended his days in the halls of the Farcathal itself. Now, that is a tale, Pineleaf. That is a tale indeed. Thank you for upholding your end of the bargain and delivering the Black Book back to my keeping, where it belongs. You will be my friend for always, good hobbit. And so ends the Black Book of Mordor, Gandalf murmurs with satisfaction. The end of the story of the Black Book of Mordor. But there is one more little story to go as we travel on through the tales of the complete Pineleaf.